Hello, Uchiha and Awarbore, the couple of subscribers that are actually going to watch this video. My name is Nazi534, and we are going to be addressing some questions that Awarbore and Uchiha posed in their recent Days of Future Past videos. Now, I am going to be addressing Uchiha's question first, because I do believe that one is the easiest one to answer. And Uchiha asks, why do YouTubers necessarily feel they must post their best and most quality content on their channels? Now, I do believe that that question gets answered by the explanation, by the question itself. Why else would you put the best content you have on your channel, right? Because it's the best, of course. But I do believe there's a deeper question behind that. Uchiha and Awarbore at least touch on it when they talk about their answer to the questions. So before we delve too much into that, I do want to talk about our boy Aristotle, because Awarbore dropped the P-bomb, philosophy. So we're going to go back to ancient Greece now, talking about eudaimonia, which translates to flourishing in I don't really know what language, but I guess English translates eudaimonia into flourishing. At one point meant happiness, but it's really more flourishing. And the reason for that being is you can flourish and not be happy just as easily as you can flourish and be happy. I mean, in order to flourish, as Aristotle explains it, is you're achieving the greatest end that you possibly can. And Plato himself, Aristotle being a student of Plato, Plato asked the question, what is the good, through the proxy Socrates, through the Ring of Gyges and all sorts of other things that happened, in his Republic, Plato's Republic. Aristotle then brings us to the question, what is the good, but what is the good for us? And he answers it by flourishing. He answers it with flourishing. Now, flourishing means that you are doing the greatest good. You are living the good life. That is how you flourish. By flourishing, rather, you are living the good life. And in order to flourish, whatever you're doing now, you're doing well. So, for instance, a good pianist would be someone who plays the piano well. And therefore, a person who plays the piano well is a flourishing pianist. So, that's essentially how you flourish. And that's the reason why YouTubers put their best content up. Because in order to flourish at playing a game, you're going to want to be the best at playing that game. You're going to want to show off your skills, and rather than just boasting about it and talking about it, why not show it off in YouTube? For the most part, it's mostly bragging rights. I mean, that's essentially why you do all the great challenges. That's why I fought Elizabeth, played through Zelda, Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker with minimal hearts, was just so I can say, hey, check this out, I'm pretty good at this game. I beat it with 3 hearts, and then Elizabeth, I went through 16 grueling hours of pressing circle and X, over and over again, just to get the perfect Orpheus Telos. I actually messed up once. It should have taken 8 hours, but I ended up fusing Morningstar onto the goddamn bastard instead of Ragnarok. So that took an extra 8 hours to get the Ragnarok, Mind Charge, and whatever else combination I needed onto Orpheus Telos. And in the end, I managed to pull it off. But going back to YouTube and all this sort of stuff, you want to show off that you're good, you're going to post your best gameplay, of course. But there is a bit of a disconnect, because I do believe Uchiha and Awarbore address this when they are talking about it, but like Markiplier, PewDiePie, Dashy Games, No Hit Runs. I do believe that was the channel that Awarbore was talking about when he was referring to Sans No Hit Run, and the guy yelling and becoming frustrated on the live stream of trying to do that. And I think if you're doing it just for bragging rights, yes, there's going to be a lot of frustration involved. But at the end of the day, you're gonna be able to show off that you are good at the game. I mean, a piano recital, for instance, there's a lot of practice and a lot of playing the songs over and over again and frustration in order to play well at the piano recital. And it's the same thing with the video game. It's going to be a lot of frustration, and in order to flourish, in order to show off, the end product, you're going to have to go through a lot of practice in order to do so. But in the end, it's just for the bragging rights, and I think that there is something that you can enjoy in that, at the least. For instance, you just brag to your friends, like, hey, I beat this thing, check me out, suck my dick, you nerds can't even compare to my level of awesome, that sort of thing. But when Markiplier or PewDiePie or someone else like that, as Awarbore said, they can't enjoy games anymore because it's their job. Well, in order to flourish at video games, when they make it a career, when they make it about money, in order to flourish at that career, you're going to want to be making a lot of money. Otherwise, it's not going to be a very successful career, and you're not going to be flourishing all that well. So, they want to make a lot of money, and at that point, the video game does kind of become a middleman. It becomes a means to the end, and you don't necessarily take much happiness or joy in the means to the end, but the end product is what you want to achieve. That's why it's the end product. That's why you do everything else. It's kind of self-explanatory, and the way Aristotle does explain it does seem kind of off. Like, oh, this is pretty self-evident, but then when you hear the explanation, you're like, what the fuck does that mean? Well, there you go. This is one of those things where if you just think through it, yeah, the end, of course, the end product is why you want to do stuff. Anyways, I think that's it for that question. I do believe I've answered it, at least to the best of my ability, even bringing some Aristotle into this. The next question now is a Warbore's question. What has changed a lot from my life views, my life philosophy before I was 18 to when I was older than 18 years old? So I think I only have time, and I only want to answer one facet of what has changed, and that is my view on life. Now, before I was 18, I thought life was meaningful. It had a purpose. There was things in it that must fulfill their purposes in order to be happy, to find something in it. I don't, to be honest, I don't really remember. And I say too many times. I need to cut back on that. Otherwise, before I was 18, again, meaningful. After I was 18, I thought life was a lot less meaningful. And that mainly changed when I started taking philosophy. Intro to philosophy, I do believe, and some moral philosophy as well. World religions, too. But it was the existentialists that changed that. It was Camus especially, and I just thought his statement, life has no meaning, it's meaningless, was a rather unique type of statement. And rather than really explain what that stance was, our teacher just kind of looked it over like, you guys can figure it out. I'm like, okay. And I've come to the conclusion that when you say life is meaningless, you're not taking away anything from life, because life already was inherently meaningless. What you're doing is you're taking away from the idea, well, not the idea, but rather from you not achieving your own happiness. So, for instance, if you think happiness can be solved through following someone else's idea, for instance, following your parents, telling you to go to college, get that degree, work your ass off, buy a house, make babies, get married, go into retirement, and then just live out the rest of your days. If you think that is your life plan and you're going to go for it, then, I mean, why are you doing it? When you say life is meaningless, why are you doing the things that you're doing? That is the question that the answer to life is, well, the statement that life is meaningless is trying to get at. At least I think that's how I interpret it. If you're not doing what you're doing right now, you know, trying to go for that American dream, if you're not doing it for your sake or for your own happiness, then why are you doing it all in the first place? If life has no meaning at all, then why aren't you going out being a doctor, or trying to be a musician, or being a mathematician, or an engineer, or whatever it is? You know, doing something else that makes you happy, that fulfills your life. Why aren't you doing those things versus doing what someone else has decided has meaning, has purpose? See, because it's a difference of following someone else's value of assigning something as meaningful versus you following your own value of what is meaningful. It's that's what I have viewed, or what I have come to understand from the statement, life is meaningless. It puts everything back on the table. It puts everything that was once thought as meaningless back on the table. So you can go and pursue all those other things, you know, that people probably say, oh, that's not going to make you a lot of money, and you're going to find no meaning in it, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. And you're just going to sit there like, fuck you. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, even if I don't have a lot of money. Alright? You can go be a pauper, or go do whatever the hell you're doing, living the American dream, or whatever it is. I'm going to sit here playing my guitar, being a street musician, or being homeless, making plays, being an actor, all that sort of stuff. That is the main vein of thought that has changed drastically from before I was 18 to after I was 18. And I do believe I answered that question at the least. I gave one example of what has changed. There's way too much to go into in this video, and I do want to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. So I do believe now is time for my question. I'm going to ask Awarbore and Uchiha a very, very simple question. Would your younger self, what would your younger self think of you today? And I do believe that my younger self would be surprised. Genuinely intrigued a little bit as to how the hell did I get all these video games? Why are all these girls just sitting around your room? Why do you have a beard? You fucking look like Grizzly Adams. I think that's who he was. Whatever. Grizzly Bear. Doesn't matter. I think that's what my younger self would look at me as. Just absolutely kind of shocked that instead of being a paleontologist, you're gonna do what with math now? All those numbers? Come on, man. Dinosaurs. They're fucking cool. But I think my younger self might be a little intrigued, might even be excited to grow up if he knew that this would be something that he'd become. Of course, yeah, the younger self that I have wouldn't have all that much hope or expectation. I mean, that's one vein of thought that hasn't changed at all since I was a kid. That is that I just don't have many expectations for anything or anyone. My mom kind of ruined that when I was young. Yep. She'd promise me things and then just say, nope, forget it. So, yeah, my expectations for a lot of things and people are very minuscule. I've kind of had the thought that if I want to get something done right, I gotta do it my goddamn self. If someone else does it, great, you did your job. Congratulations, you did what you said you were gonna do. What, do you want a fucking cookie now? No, I mean, you gotta do it yourself. But I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm not gonna say have a great day, because fuck that. I'm gonna say, if you're gonna die, die in style. There we go.